What event in your life wasn't funny at the time, but is hilarious now? Me and my friends got robbed once, and my friend handed over his wallet, then remembered that his ID was in there and what a bitch it is to get a new one. So he started arguing with the robber to let him take the ID out, and they get into a full back and forth argument over it. Robber eventually opens his wallet and is trying to slide the ID out of the plastic sleeve thing and is having trouble. My friend snatched the wallet from him, slides his ID out, and hands back the wallet. We were all terrified at the time, but looking back, we laugh about how stupid that was. The whole scene could have come straight out of a sitcom. Me and a coworker were on a conference call. Basically, the entire multinational IT team discussing some project coming up with some corporate bigwigs. So we're told what we need to do, and one of the guys from Holland, I'll call him Bjorn, goes off on one complaining about the workload. He goes on for a solid 20 minutes complaining and just talking in circles. But the thing was, this project wasn't optional. We had to do it no matter what. Everyone was in the same boat, and he actually had one of the lightest workloads, having the fewest users to support. After his tirade is over, the focus switches to the UK team, and we're told what we need to do. We basically just say, okay, understood. I mute the phone, turn to my coworker and say, you see how much easier it is to just agree to something instead of wasting everyone's time bitching? It's not like we've got a choice. Just get the on with it. Is it just me, or is every conference call like 10 minutes of useful info, followed by 45 minutes of Bjorn bitching? Then my coworker chimes in, yeah, all he does is whine, I'm Bjorn, I've got to do some work for once. It's less than everyone else, but I'm going to whine about it for hours. Every time. Guy's a twat. I've seen how many tickets he does a week. What he calls a busy week, I call an average Monday morning. But it's the way he'll keep whining about something that we can't change. Doesn't matter that it affects everyone, doesn't matter that we've no choice but to suck it up and get on with it, he just talks in circles. Yeah, and why moan about it? It's not like the company's going to say, okay, we'll cancel a multi-million-pound project because Bjorn wants to spin in his chair all day. Then, we notice the call has gone completely silent. I look at the phone and see the mute button isn't lit up. I shit my pants and, for some reason, mute the phone like it will erase the last minute of conversation. There's dead air for what felt like an eternity. Then we hear, UK, did you say something? Me and my coworker just stare at each other in horror. The company's CEO is on the call, so at the main head of IT. At that moment, the UK IT head, whose office is just down the hall, boots the door open, barges into the room making cutthroat motions and mouthing, "You're not on mute! You're not on mute!" We just stare back in horror and say, "We know." Then the call goes, okay, let's carry on. At that point, we see that the UK IT head is actually trying not to laugh, and we figure we can't be in that deep shit. Then the call goes on, like nothing happened. Bjorn, uncharacteristically, stayed silent. We didn't get in the shit for it. No one complained, and our boss wasn't pissed at us because we were basically saying, this is our job, we have to do it so there's no point bitching. And Bjorn never complained. Probably because he knew we were right. Now we laugh about it. But when we realized the phone wasn't muted and the call went silent, we nearly soiled ourselves. One time, I was hooking up with this girl for the first time in the back seat of her car. I was going down on her, and I noticed that she was really wet. Almost too wet. I didn't think much of it and kept going. At this point, I noticed the taste of blood. I tried to keep my cool and evaluate the situation by kissing slowly up her belly so I could take a look. That's when I noticed a trail of blood that I had just made all the way up to her belly button. I shot up and gave her the most concerned look of my life. But here's the twist. I saw blood dripping down from my face. It was mine. I got a nosebleed. Her cloth seats were stained. Was walking down the hallway talking to my crush when suddenly I had to fart. For some stupid reason, my 10-year-old self thought it would be a good idea to interrupt her, stand in front of her, say, "Shh, watch this," and fart. Except it wasn't a fart. That's right. I interrupted my crush, got her attention, and then pooped my pants right in front of her, and then ran off in embarrassment and shame. This reminds me of a barfing moment I had in front of my crush. I had him in my 3rd grade class and never sat next to him even though I always wanted to. Finally, in 4th grade, after a rearrangement of desks, he was seated next to me. I was so nervous and played it cool, we started talking and he was really nice. The 2nd day of having our desks next to each other, though, I really didn't feel well. I kept getting sicker throughout the day and at one point had a big burp coming that I trusted and thought would make me feel better. I projectile vomited all over my desk and a little bit on the surrounding desks too. I will never forget the look of pure shock on his face. Everyone made a huge deal of it, so I got even more embarrassed and was glad to go home. He was really nice, though, and asked if I felt better when I got back. Nick, if you're reading this, sorry I puked on your desk. Bought a vacant house that was filled with junk. Was cleaning out the basement and found a poor dead cat the previous owners must have left to die there alone. I didn't want to touch it, so I called animal control. They came out right away. I showed the guy the cat under some debris. The guy picks it up with tongs and we all find out it is a stuffed animal. He started dying laughing, but at least my shame was only with one guy I would never see again, right? To my complete disbelief, one of my best friend's dad was literally outside the front of the home, checking water meters since he also worked for the city, and the animal control guy told him all about it. Now both of them dying laughing, and now all my friends would definitely find out. We still have the stuffed cat years later and laugh. I stopped by the Dick's Sporting Goods shop where my son worked during his college years. Waiting around for him got boring, so I decided to try out one of the treadmills on display. I had never been on a treadmill in my life, but really, how hard could it be? I hopped up on the one with the key in the ignition, whatever, and turned it on. Whoosh! I flew off the end of that thing like I was traveling backwards to hell and knocked over a poor woman browsing the sweatpants. We disentangled ourselves and decided we were both unhurt, while my son, who witnessed the whole stunt, watched, shaking his head, from the back of the store. You know what made it somehow even more embarrassing? That I had my big handbag over my shoulder the entire time. Just 2 treadmills with a purse.